Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Emma Diffley, and I am the exhibition coordinator here at the Venda Museum. I'd like to welcome everyone to Art in the Camps, Art by Vietnamese Refugees in Hong Kong Detention Camps, which is an interview with Evelyna Liang. Thank you, Evelyna, for joining us today. Evelyna Liang is a Hong Kong-based artist who brings creative projects to people in need. In 1988, Liang started Art in the Camps, a project that encouraged Vietnamese refugees who had fled Vietnam by boat and were incarcerated in Hong Kong refugee camps to create artwork about their personal experiences, from fleeing persecution in their homeland, Vietnam, to surviving the dangerous and often deadly journey of crossing the South China Sea by fishing boat, and to arriving in the prison-like environment of detention camps in Hong Kong. Through this project, Liang has used art as a healing tool, and today we present several of these artworks in our exhibition, Vietnam in Transition, 1976 to Present. So today's interview will be a 45-minute conversation with Evelyna, followed by a 15-minute Q&A with the viewers. Please feel free at any point during the interview to submit your questions under the Q&A icon. We will leave time at the end to answer your questions. I'd also like to thank Susan Horowitz and Rick Feldman for their ongoing support at the Venda Museum's on-site and online programs. So to start things off, I'd like to provide a little bit of context of this period in time and people in Vietnam. Since the reunification of Vietnam in 1976, many people from South Vietnam were forced to leave the country. Most of them fled by boat, arriving in various places including Thailand, Malaysia, and Hong Kong. An estimated 800,000 people managed to arrive at their destination, while an estimated 300,000 to 350,000 people perished at sea due to leakages, pirates, sharks, and running out of food and water. So Evelyna, I'd like to start off. Could you describe a little bit about Hong Kong's response to this incoming of refugees?
Right. At the very beginning, hi everybody. At the very beginning, Vietnamese refugees, came to Hong Kong in the 70s. Actually, a lot of people sort of like welcomed them because most of Hong Kong's citizens during that time, at least half of them are also refugees, coming from China. And so they welcomed them. And also, those refugees that first came actually saw the labor sort of situation, at that time, because Hong Kong is booming, cities is building, a lot of construction site need workers. So in the 70s, when the first batch came, they welcomed them, said, "Oh, great, you come here, to solve our labor problem." And the situation sort of like deteriorate, like, in the 80s, because there's too many of them coming in. And then most of the workers, the laborer they don't mind have less pay. They don't mind cheaper wages, so that they can still work. So then at that point, the Hong Kong people started to say, they rip up all our chances to work because because they are cheaper, so they started to have this sort of like, we don't like them anymore. They are invaders. And then when it comes to really the mid-80s, and then the situation in Vietnam changed. A lot of them have to escape sort of like the situation back then. And too many of the boats come in, they pour in. Every day there's a few thousands, every day there are a few hundreds. And then they said, no, we don't like them anymore. Don't come. And so it is that point that if you really want to know about the history, it's like at that point, the British government have signed a sort of agreement with the UNHCR, said that, okay, Hong Kong will be the first city that will give them shelter, but they only stay in the detention camp. Inside, they are not allowed to come out to work anymore, not as freely as before. And this is how everything changed, the situation about Vietnamese refugees that coming into Hong Kong, and they become the boat people. They come by fishing boat. big ship, and they are locked in a camp, detention camp.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like these detention camps are very similar to prisons. Could you describe a little bit about the internal experience of these detention camps?
Yes, I have to say, I was actually teaching at the university that time, and it's in the Chinese university up on sort of like not top of the hill, but we can look down and we can look down into there's a reservoir, and then they built a detention camp on the reservoir, sort of like on the I don't know how you exactly call it. They built a detention camp, barbed wire, cement ground, aluminum, like almost like those tin built aluminum. They built it like within like maybe 3-4 days, everything built up. And I remember my first time that walked inside the camp because I want to do something there. And the sun is glaring. The aluminum panel were like really like sort of like glare. I can't see what's in front of me. Everything is really sort of white and cold. The cement floor is hot, and there's no vegetation, nothing. And I can see all barbed wire. I walk in and I said, where am I? Am I in a prison? I have to be searched by security guard like 3 times to make sure I did not bring anything. I said, why? This is only a detention camp. It's not a prison. Why are people treating other people like this? So I have this really like fear in my heart when I walk into the gates. I have to go through 1 security gate, the second one, the third one, and then I'm inside the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a horrible experience, I will have to say. Yeah.
How long were refugees typically inside of these camps?
Actually, some of them, according to our some of the how will I say, have been there for maybe the first day they come to Hong Kong, they're in the open camp. That means that they are allowed to go out and work, and then they all have to force to go into the detention camp. And I know from the very beginning to the last one, they sort of like dispersed the camp over 10 years. So some of the refugees have been inside the camp for 10 years. Mm. And I want you to understand something. If you are in not a prison, but in a camp, that means that you can still walk around. You can still walk around. You cannot go outside of the fences, okay? But you can still walk around in the camp. You got nothing to do, no entertainment. Someone will feed you. You say, okay, dun, 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 time's up. You can have your meal. So they will go and line up for meals, and they got nothing to do. And so what will you do? What do you think? It make a person like, the birth rate of infant children is very high in detention camp because they got nothing to do, so they make love. So lots of babies, okay? And for those that are very strong and thin, so when they saw beautiful girls, of course, you know what they will do, right? So a lot of young girls were always in fears. Young women, girls are in fears, of this strong man. And then there's like other people become like, okay, I'm strong, I have connection outside the camp. Now you have to serve me. So they become the king inside the camp. And so they sort of like rule the camp. And then the Hong Kong police and also the correction law, officers, they're not to do anything. They just allowed it, because if they allowed it, that means that they can run the camp as if they have their own territories. And this is just like mafia, right? Mm-hmm. It's the situation inside the camp when you got nothing to do except everybody feed you, everybody, you have your bunk bed, You can walk around the camp and nothing to do.
Mhm.
That's the
And
stage when I first walked into the camp. That's is exactly what's happening.
yeah, and how did you first arrive in one of these detention camps? What made you interested in working with the Vietnamese refugees?
Right. When I was teaching at the university, I set up Christian fellowship, sort of like with my students and also some other colleagues. And I told my student, it's like being a Christian, we have to care and love each other. And I asked my student, do you know there are some people that are out there, you all are teaching, they all are like my fine art student, okay? We learn how to paint, how to draw, how to do sculptures, how to use our hand, how to sing and dance. And I said, you are right now studying to be an artist. Is it your dream to only to become famous? Is it your dream to only let your artwork hang on a museum and gallery? Will that make you happy? Or will that also make you happy if you can really share your art's ability with other people and let them enjoy making art, how it will bring joy back into their mind? So I asked my student, would you like to go into the camp with me? And so that, maybe we can do something. Actually, it all first started about maybe some media, like, report saying that, this came up, nothing to do, nobody's care about them, and they just feed them and that's it. No activities. So I suggest maybe we can bring in some other thing with my Christian student. And they all agree, said that, yeah, sure, maybe we can try, maybe we should share. We don't have money. We are not business people, but we know how to paint, we know how to sing, we know how to dance. Maybe we can share our ability. And this is how it all started.
Mhm.
I called the police department and said that, can I bring my student there? Just to maybe do some mural on the aluminum sort of like, wall, the barbed wire wall. And they said that, maybe not. But I said that, I will give them color. It's just maybe 2 days, a weekend, a long weekend. I'll bring my student, we'll just do some mural, and then maybe I will meet up some artists inside the camp. They're Vietnamese, but they are artists. Maybe we can meet up with them, and then we can maybe cooperate and do a mural. Maybe it will be interesting. And somehow my idea catch up. I mean, sort of like they said, okay, maybe give it a try for 1 weekend. For 1 weekend, a long weekend. So this is how we all started. We walk into the camp. We meet up some of the artists inside the camp and some musicians also. And then we decided for that weekend, we will do a sort of like art event inside the camp, and we paint the mural. And we did not do it. It's like all the artists inside the camp who already are artists and trained graphic designer and trained designer. They are the one that design everything. And for us, we just provide all the art material to do a mural. And it's like 1 weekend, we think that, oh yeah, so we did maybe 4 murals, and with a lot of the people inside the camp, the original Vietnamese artists, they finished everything. And we said that, oh, well, we did a good job, me and my students there. We did, we did murals, it's very good, and we have fun and dancing with the children. Yeah, it's good, And we thought that that's it, this is one of our sort of like, service, sort of like community service. But things happen. 3 months later, after that weekend, I got a call from the police department and said that, oh, Evelyna, can you bring your students again and artists again to come and do more murals and more arts activities in our camp. And I got that phone call and I said, oh, sure, what happened? And they said, do you know, after your murals, because some of the artists painted the Vietnamese landscape, and some of the artists painted their homeland, the rivers and the landscape they know, the houses, the huts that they used to in the countryside. And it totally changed the atmosphere of the camp. These are all big murals, really big murals. And then people started to sit at the sunset or in the morning. They will sit by the fence, by the mural, I would say. And then they, as if they were really back home in their own landscape. And then they find peace, as if you are go back to the forest, go back to a place that you know, go back home. They can sit down and they talk. And the hostile environment inside the camp have changed due to all these 6-7 murals that we started to paint. And it is a miracle. And to me, it's also a very sort of a touching story. I said, really? It really changed the whole atmosphere, the whole hostile atmosphere inside the camp? They said, yeah, there's less fighting, less abuse. And people started to sit down by their friends to talk about family things. Can you come again? Play with our children, sing songs, and do the dancing. What do you think I respond? What do you think is my responses? Of course, I said, sure, yes, I will bring more. So I call up my friend who are in drama student. I call up my friends who is teaching music, and I said, can we all come in? Let's do something great. Let's do something and create happy moments, for the people in the camp. So how we started this art in the camp, organization. And then this is how it all started. It become almost like a seed we plant, and 3 months later it started to become different flowers, different sprout. And so we also identify some talented young people that are talented with music, and we support them. We get them their violin. And we also spotted out some young people, teenagers who are very good in writing, and they become poets. They are still doing poetry. We are still in contact with some of them. And then we not only do painting, visual art, dancing, we also involve the women to do embroideries. They don't want to paint, but they love their needlework, embroidery. So we said, okay. And writers, graphic designers, we train them. They become like our editors. They report news, they translate news, and then we publish a magazine. It's called Freedom Magazines. Once a week, we publish that. And
this is that with the artist Trindo, the Freedom magazines.
Yes. So we have so many, so many of them that have been writing. I mean, we never know them, but they will come to me and say, I'm a writer, I'm a reporter, I do poetry. And there's one woman, in her teenagers, she said, I love to write poem. Can I write? And I said, sure. And we still in contact with her. Now she got married. She have a daughter. Her daughter get into university. I met her daughter, and then we become friends again. And then she come and help me with my other project. And this is 30 years now. Mm-hmm. I never when I first start, I never know that it will plant a seed in a child's heart, in their heart, to give them imagination that they can dream of a better world. And this is what I think art can do. I talk a lot, so I better stop.
No, definitely. And it seems like with art in the camps, you saw a need, you saw the prison-like environment was really devoid of color, and you brought art back in to give people that opportunity to express themselves. And I really like the what you just mentioned about like returning home through art. They were able to create the Vietnam landscape through their artwork. Another thing I've noticed though that they painted about was about their journey by boat to Hong Kong, and also some of the violence that they experienced with the North Vietnam soldiers. So I was wondering, could you speak a little bit about not only like how they've created their own dreams through these works, but also how they've reconciled with extreme trauma?
Yeah, so actually it's like 30 some years ago when I first started, this project. I know nothing about art therapy. I know nothing about the power, the powerful, like, things that can change you when you're doing artwork. But it is only after like this project that I started to think about art therapy for people to look back into those traumatic experience and to able to confront those again in their own creation. That means actually one is in recognizing the hurt, and then they will look at the hurts as a third person. And when you are doing it, you're actually healing. You are healing yourself. You're looking at your wounds, and then you heal it bit by bit. And it's not it's not a medicine that will just give you and then you heal. No, by painting each stroke, each story, each color, every detail is a way of healing your own soul. And it is, and then after the whole painting was done, when you look into that, it was that I've gone through it. I've gone through all this pain. I've gone through all this torture. I lost my parent. I lost, maybe somehow I got lost in the ocean. But look at me now. I am standing here. I am the creator that are doing all this. I survived. I have my life back. I should be graceful. And this is the healing process we always talk about. So in art therapy is we always like people, a lot of time people will say, oh, don't mention your past, it's all gone. You forget about it. Okay, you go forward. But for therapy, art therapy is like, no, we have to look into that and see how we can come out of it by healing ourselves through all this creative work.
Mm-hmm. And how did working with these refugees impact you and your art practice today?
Yeah, they totally changed my career path. Like really, they changed. At first, I want to be an artist. I want to be famous too. I want all my artwork to be hung on the museum, in the gallery wall. And yeah, maybe you can buy some of my painting in your it's. But after like working with them, I saw like the sparkling joy that come back in their eyes. Life, I would say life that come back, and they will look up and they will see something is living. And then I say, if just a simple mural or a simple stitch or even a song, a lullaby can change people's mood, I should understand it more. So for me, then I actually quit full-time teaching at the university, and I get into my path of, I still need teaching to get my money. I mean, I still to support myself, but I evolve more into community art, building community using art to facilitate own identity. Is empowerment. And I think my artwork is not a painting I create. My artwork is to see the spark in one's eye that change from darkness into light.
I really love that. It's like you giving them the gift of life through artwork after it's been taken from them.
Yeah, I give it to them. It's they themselves discover it themselves again. And I'm just facilitating. I'm just helping them to find that. And that become my career path. Is I help people to search for their own happiness through art.
And with art in the camps, how did you gain the support of the United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees in your project?
Yeah, I tried to look into that, and wow, I didn't really know it's all miracles. It's like maybe I did good, right? So when I call them, when I go to their office and I show them what I have been doing, and I say, can I, and then they look at that and say that sure. Actually our greatest support is from the social service. Actually it's from fundings in New York. Actually, I forgot about the name. Sorry, I have to. My memory is not that good. It's all that I know that is a funding from New York, and they are the organization. They are a charity that have been working with the Jewish, the Jewish camp, during Second World War. Social service, or SOG, RG, I can't remember, and they are our first supporter. It is also through them that we connect with the UNHCR, and also UNHCR, because everything you do in Hong Kong that involve the camp, we have to report to the UNHCR. At first, it's a church, it's a union church in Hong Kong, and then connect us with the organization in New York. We got the funding, and then everything we have to report. And there's another organization in Hong Kong called Christian Action. So we also get their support. And this is how we got into all these different type of activities. And everything is a miracle. I think it just comes down to me. And what I believe is, if what you are doing is good, money will come. And it's still what my belief now. What I'm doing now is still the same. I go to Syrian refugees camp. I go to like Jordan, Beirut, Turkey. And people will ask, where's your money come from? I say, I don't know, If people needs me, they will support me. And that's it. It's still the same. So maybe you have to ask my I don't know, the one that's doing all the admin work, how did they get all the funding? Maybe they got all the write-up, but I'm the one that said, let's do crazy stuff, let's go and dance, let's go and do a drama. Yes. Christian Action maybe is the one that helped us a lot to connect with UNHCR, and they are the one that really like what we are doing, and sort of like say good words about us. And also as artists, at the very beginning, we don't need that much money, okay, financially, because all our art students, my students, artists are all willing to go. We did not ask for any, money to support.
And how long did art in the camps last?
Maybe 4 years, something like that. But we are also the first one that got kicked out.
Why did you guys get kicked out?
because we spread too much of freedom. Our freedom magazines spread out too much freedom.
So
And
would you say that art in the camps kind of started a revolution inside of these
I,
camps?
I would say I wouldn't say it's a revolution, but the freedom magazines actually is like because we translating all the news from abroad, translate into Vietnamese, and also we let the campers, so the people, I would never say them they're campers. I mean, they write there whatever they think about. We never have censorship. Whatever they want to write, they can write, and then we publish.
Mhm. And what were they experiencing a lot of censorship by the people who were controlling the camps?
At the beginning, no, they think that we are just some like Christian groups that are just so spreading the good news and thing, and didn't realize that actually we are spreading freedom.
Freedom.
And what is freedom to them, to the a lot of people that want to control people, if you give them too much idea of what freedom is, it's not good. I should keep my mouth shut.
I also noticed there was a lot of repetition of like the American Statue of Liberty that was repeated in a lot of the artwork, which goes on that theme of freedom. Where did these refugees go after they left, if they were able to leave eventually?
um for those that I'm still have contact, is like maybe 20-30% got sent back to Vietnam, and about 20% stay in Hong Kong. They're allowed to stay in Hong Kong, and the others will be all over the world globally. Like I know some been to London, some been to Amsterdam, and mostly America. I think mostly, and yeah, a few of them we still have contact, but I can't. My most of like that have contact are those in Hong Kong. All the young men, the young boys, the young children that were inside the camp. They can stay in Hong Kong now. They all grown up, got married, and they still always come back, and then we always have some gathering together. Yeah.
Mhm. And were families able to stay together when they left or within the camps, or was there a lot of separation?
There are sad story and there are happy stories. So I can never give you the statistic because I'm not that type of person that would think. Yeah, there are some family that have to separate. Some if they got repatriated back to Vietnam, the whole family have to repatriate.
Mm.
When they immigrate to, some will immigrate to like allowed to go to America, and then maybe I I I knew a family that only the wife and children can go. The father, because he did have some maybe burglary or something, some crime in Hong Kong, so he cannot have the visa. So he got stuck in Hong Kong, and it's a sad story, the sad life. But some women, particularly a lot of Vietnamese young girls those time, young women got married to Hong Kong men, and so they are the one that sort of like stay in Hong Kong, and then the family all over the world. But now they can still got back into contact, and some boys, well, not boys, I mean they're adults now, uh, went to America with their family, and I don't know why they come back to Hong Kong. And then it's very strange. They come back to Hong Kong. They have their career in Hong Kong. And they said that they remember the life actually they enjoy in Hong Kong. And I find it very strange sometimes. So there's a few that I did interview, and they are just lovely story. Yeah. Some say. So it's all over the world now. Yeah.
Mhm. And did these camps officially close at a certain point, or was it a gradual process?
It's those that are working during our time, the art in the camp during our, they are all closed camp. They are all detention camp. They cannot get out. They cannot go out and work. They cannot do anything, but only inside the camp. But there's some like open camp. We call it open camp. That means that, you know, the children can go to school outside the camp. And this is how we know all those children back then, you know. So when art in the camp finished, actually, I still have some of my students that can still go to the open camp to teach art. And that's how we got sort of like still have contact. And I'm a little snake that can go through, you know, different gap. And then, you know, yes, art in the camp officially been kicked out, but our artists, our students, teachers can still go and do teaching at the social service, you know, like school, the Red Cross. So we can still go teach artwork, art lessons. We plan the curriculum. We did everything. And then they just love us. The Red Cross just love us because we did it for them free. So why not, you know, you just come in, you know. And this is how we have been in and out of the camp for maybe over 10 years, even after the closed camp. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So to conclude, my last question for you is, what message would you like viewers today to receive from these artworks that were made in Art in the Camps?
What message? Oh, goodness. It's very difficult. It's like when you see someone in pain, someone's that not happy, you try your best to make them happy. To us artists, it's art. Or if you're a grandmother, if you're a granny, if you love to cook, give them food. And if you are a clown, smile at them. And we don't have money, but we have everybody have our own ability to make people smile, to make people laugh. Use your own ability and try on people that are in pain. And this is my theory. I never actually have a real theory. It's like, I love to hug people. I just love to see smile back into the faces. Do what you can. We don't need money. I don't need money, but I can walk around the street and I can smile at everybody that seems to be sad. Give them a hand. Reach out. Is it okay?
That's great. Thank you so much, Evelyna. That was really great. Thank you so much. And it's really inspiring to hear your story. You've definitely used art as a gift to help people in need. And I'm just excited to hear about this. So I'll get started with the Q&A questions.
Okay.
I'll read what we have. Okay, the first question is, was there a language barrier between you and your students and the artists you were working with?
Of course, there's always language, you know, but okay, to tell you some secret, okay. One of my administrator, Adam, got married to a Vietnamese girl. And then now they're living in New York, very happy. And another translator, my student married him, and they now live in somewhere in Texas. And no, to really say, it's like, in art, sometimes speaking languages is not the best tool to communicate. We use sign language. We use drawing to communicate, and drawing and action and dance and singing and sound is your best language. So yes, there's language barrier. We do need translator, but just go ahead. Just go ahead. You know, when you smile and make faces, student will laugh, right? So this is our language.
Mhm.
Yes, we do have language barrier, but we are not afraid.
Yeah, art is the language. That's
Ex
the common ground.
yeah, exactly.
So our next question is, I love that you say that the true art in the process was the transformation, the spark in the eyes of people. Would you say it also positively impacted the mafia-like hierarchical structures, mafia-like hierarchy that existed in the camp? Did people become more respectful of each other?
Yes, actually, it does. They will say, "Oh wow, you can play the violin. Oh wow, this young man can sing so loud." And then they say, "Who teach you?" Said, "My parent back home in there." They and then somehow people will look up to this boy's education, to this boy's background, and then they don't look at him as someone that run around without shoes in the camp. Okay, and for the designers, I remember a beautiful woman who was a theater designer, and she was educated in Paris, I think. When I first met her, everybody would look at her just like an ordinary like housewife. But after she showed off her talent in the big mirror, and then people's whole attitude, even the security guard, the police officer, will totally change. These are the people that have talent, and these are the people that have culture, and it is the culture that make them understand they have to respect their own culture as well. And this is how you bring like people to understand each other through art. And because a lot of time people don't talk too much about their background, who they are. Normally they don't, because they're afraid there will be some abuse, if they know that where you come from, things like that. But artwork cannot hide. They just show, and people start to understand each other culturally through all this happening.
Mhm. And can you tell us something about the community art projects you were involved in after your work with the detention camp?
Oh, that would be a long story. So after the detention camp, Vietnamese camp, I looked around Hong Kong and said that, well, if art can make such a miracle that can change people's mind, maybe I should bring this project into the hospitals in Hong Kong, public hospitals. So I started art in hospital in Hong Kong, and I started doing murals in all the public hospitals. And again, it's the same thing happened. I changed this psychiatric wards into beautiful, storytelling walls. I changed the burning wards into something that have color. The hospital let me do the the ceiling of the operation room. No, the operation waiting room, not inside the operating room. Like people can look at beautiful landscape and the waves and the clouds and the sunset, and they will soothe their mind. I brought in that, and Art in Hospital is still running, in Hong Kong, and become a very prominent sort of community, organization. And then after that, 7 years into Art in Hospital, I started up another society called Art for All. That means that I'm not satisfied just bringing artwork into hospital environment. And I said, how about the outside of the hospital? They also need art. The underprivileged, the South Asian community, the abused, the family that got abused, they have a home. I want to bring them art. And then I went to China, to India, to Burma, to Cambodia, everywhere. And I work with the leprosy patient. I work with the HIV positive, community. Mm-hmm. And I work in the rural area. I work with the, migrant workers, and yeah. I give them art. I give them the power of themselves. I give them the power that they know that they are all creator. They can art and they can create their own happiness through their own being. Yes, this has been what I've been doing for 30-some years.
Wow. Wow.
Just crazy. And I'm still doing, I do, I cook too. I bring food to people.
I love it. Art and food.
Yes.
Great. Another question is, as you mentioned that you are still in touch with some of the people who are in the camps, when you speak with them today, who do they describe to have impacted their years in the camp later on in life?
Okay, there's always this young man that I vividly remember, when he was maybe 6 years old in just primary school. We asked the camp, the correction sort of like, security, the correctional people. And since all the camp is like cemented floor, ground. And I said, can we dig up some, like some of the ground, and can we let the children plant something to let them see life? And finally, the Red Cross sort of like negotiate with us and negotiate with the camp security and the official. And so by the fence, we can dig up a little garden. No more cement, but soil, ground. And then every day our children can go and water their own little plant. And some grow some flower, some grow some basically flowers, I think. And this young man, well, this boy, and like 20 years later, he came to my studio and he painted me a big painting of sunflower. And I said, why did you, do that painting and give it to me? And he said, during his time in the camp, in the school, his joy is that he's able to go and water the little garden that they have. And his joy is to watch how the sunflower grow and blossom. And said that that's his joy. And he always remember life from soil, from seed to sprout, to a plant, to a flower that grow up and looking up into the sky. So he came back to my studio 20 years later, give me this painting. And I know, yes, the sunflower is in his heart. And he know that his life have a future, just like that little seed we plant. And it's a reward for me also to saw that painting 20 years later. Sorry, I think I'm running low in my battery. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's but too bad, that painting I did not give it to you because I want to keep it in my studio. That big painting. I'm always love it. And I said that yes, this is my reward to see maybe when we left the camp, when we gone being kicked out, we think that maybe that's finished. Not realizing that 20, 30 years later, they come back to me and see this is what they have been. Like the happiest moment is to be able to water the plant. And it is life in itself, not us. They are the one that give themselves the life because they are the one, he's the one that water the plant.
That's a really great story. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. The last question is if you have enough battery. Do you have enough battery on your phone?
Trying to figure out why it's not, well, okay, maybe we hope one more minute?
One more minute. Okay, let's do it. So it says, it seems like many people would have difficulty seeing the reality of a detention camp, let alone voluntarily spending lots of time in one. Did you have to protect yourself emotionally somehow during the period you were working with the camps?
Uh, Actually, for me, is less because I never fear about anything. But my students and artists, they do have some moment of fear because most of the time they are the one that get in the camp every day, the staff, the every day, and they will search every day, and and there's sometimes when there's riot, they have to be like all locked up inside the the camp. They cannot get out. Yes, they will, but I have never experienced. So you have to interview another my staff. If you really want it. So I would love to interview her. She's in Texas. She can tell you all the story because she's the one that go in every day and out. And I'm the crazy granny that is saying, oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Yeah. So the one that experienced more. I won't be the best person to talk about that experience.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you, Evelyna, for sharing this story. You really gave people an incredible gift of creativity, healing, also giving them agency when they were in a dire situation. So it's a really inspirational story. So thank you so much for sharing.
And thank you for hosting me, and thank you for yes, all my mischievous behavior.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Yes,
If you
everyone.
you can always email me, and then I'm more than happy. And I can always email you the painting, the sunflower that
Oh yeah, I'd love to see that.
I still kept in my studio. Yeah, I won't let go. At first, I said maybe I will ship it to America, and then I decided no, I still want to keep it because it's like very special to me. Yes.
So that's so great. Thank you so much, Evelyna. And
Okay. Thank you.
And then I would like to invite everybody to the Venom Museum in person this Sunday. We have installation discussion about our guardhouse installation with artists Alexei and Katya Tilovich, which is called TGI Freiheit. So that's this Sunday in person. Thank you so much, Evelina, and thank you, everyone.